Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to another edition of Sixers Film Room. Today, I am breaking down my top 5 favorite trade targets for Ben Simmons. If you guys love the Sixers, please give this video a like. Please be sure to subscribe. Let's do this. During the regular season, Ben Simmons averaged 14.3 points per game, which was a career low. In this Atlanta series, he averaged just 9.9 points per game. A 3-time All-Star who has made multiple appearances on the NBA All-Defensive squads, and he doesn't even turn 25 until next month. Ben signed a max extension 2 summers ago and has $140 million owed to him over the next 4 seasons. That's a massive number for any team that's going to pay a player who willfully passed up a dunk in Game 7. I'm still getting over that play. Make no mistake, if the Sixers do end up trading Ben Simmons, then they absolutely must bring in a bona fide number 2 scorer to pair alongside Joel Embiid. Let's go to my number 5, and that is CJ McCollum. Let's look at the stats. 47.6% in the catch and shoot from 3 on 3.1 attempts per game, 48% in the catch and shoot overall, 51.3% field goal percentage on 4.8 drives to the basket, 1.11 points per possession in ISO opportunities, good for 89th percentile. You gotta love that. This guy's a bucket getter. 1.07 points per possession in the pick and roll as a ball handler, good for 90th percentile. There's a lot to like about CJ McCollum. Before he was injured, CJ was on fire and finished this season with career highs in points, 23.1, and assists, 4.7 assists per game. He shot over 40% from 3 and only had 1.4 turnovers. This was arguably the best season of CJ's career, but his fit alongside Damian Lillard has always been questioned. The 29-year-old guard is a career 40% shooter from 3-point range. He hit on 169 of 420 attempts this season. If the Sixers are able to retain Danny Green, it's easy to see why CJ McCollum and Danny Green would be a perfect pairing alongside Joel Embiid in the starting lineup. CJ McCollum will be starting a new extension with the Trailblazers next season, where he is due $100 million over the next 3 years. The goal for the Sixers this offseason has to be giving Joel Embiid a running mate that can reliably score from the perimeter. CJ McCollum is more than capable as a scorer, having posted 20-plus points per game in 6 consecutive seasons. This is an uber-talented guard that is a 3-level scorer with the ability to create for others. The main thing that CJ McCollum brings is spacing, and this is one of the best shooters in the NBA. Let's go to my number 4, and my number 4 is Darren Fox. Let's look at the stats. 39.3% in the catch and shoot from 3 on 1.5 attempts per game, 58.4% effective field goal percentage in the catch and shoot overall, 72.4% of his points came from drives to the basket, 56.2% field goal percentage on 8.7 drives to the basket. This is where Darren Fox is absolutely lights out. 0.87 points per possession ISO opportunities, not great. 0.94 points per possession in the pick and roll as a ball handler, pretty good. 1.18 points per possession in transition, 62nd percentile, 56.4 field goal percentage on 3.5 attempts per game in transition. From an offensive perspective, what a season for Darren Fox. This is a guy who put up 25.2 points and 7.2 assists per game this season, joining LeBron James, Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Trae Young as the only players to record those numbers this season. He was very clearly dominant as both a primary scoring option and as a distributor. What you need to know about Darren Fox is this. Darren averaged the second most attacks in the paint during the 2020 season, 8.7 per game, while also recording the best field goal percentage at the rim among any guards at 68.9%. That's even more efficient in the paint than most big men, including Clint Capella, Karl Anthony Towns, Julius Randle, Nikola Vucevic, and just about any other guy in the league. While Darren Fox's offensive skill set was on full display last year, the same cannot be said about his defense. This is a guy who is often seen disappearing for minutes on end on that side of the court. Defense is where Darren Fox can take his next step into becoming an automatic all-star in the NBA. If he can transform from a bad defender to an at least average defender, this guy's ceiling is ridiculously high. He's not a perfect player, but Darren Fox would clearly bring a primary scorer and initiator to a Sixers team that is desperately in need for a number 2 go-to option. Let's go to my number 3, and that is Zach LaVine. Let's bring up the stats. 48.6% in the catch and shoot from 3 on 2.6 attempts per game, 68.5% effective field goal percentage in the catch and shoot, 53.3 field goal percentage on 5.9 drives to the basket per game, 1.14 points per possession ISO opportunities, good for 90th percentile. That's what you love to see as Sixers fans. This guy thrives in ISO opportunities. 1.0 points per possession as a ball handler in the pick and roll, good for 82nd percentile. Love that. 1.25 points per possession in transition, 75th percentile. Lastly, he shot 42.1% on pull-ups. There is a lot to like about Zach LaVine, who emerged as a bona fide star this season, averaging a career high in points, 27.4 points, assists, 4.9 assists, rebounds, 5.0, and 3-point percentage, nearly 42%. Zach LaVine is the ideal number 2 scorer for the Philadelphia 76ers, able to work with the ball in his hands when Embiid is off the court, but he's active enough off ball to keep defenses honest when Joel Embiid is cooking down low. I love the fit with Zach LaVine, whose presence would give the Sixers 3 lethal shooters in their starting 5 behind Tobias Harris and Seth Curry. Zach LaVine is coming off his first All-Star appearance. Although his shot selection can be troublesome at times, Zach LaVine has the ability to take over a game offensively. Should Zach LaVine decline an extension offer this offseason, as has been speculated, the Sixers could conceivably try it out for a year and see how this guy fits with the Sixers before locking him up long term. Right now, it's generally believed that Zach LaVine wants to be part of that stacked 2022 free agency class. On paper, it's easy to see why this guy would be a perfect fit alongside Joel Embiid. Let's go on to my number 2. Number 2 has to be Bradley Beal. Let's talk about the stats. 38.7% in the catch and shoot from 3 on 3.3 attempts per game, 55.3% effective field goal percentage in the catch and shoot, 77.3% of his points came from drives to the basket, 53.5 field goal percentage on 8.5 drives to the basket per game. That is wild. 0.94 points per possession in ISO opportunities, 64th percentile. And lastly, 0.97 points per possession as a ball handler in the pick and roll, good for 74th percentile. At just 27 years old, Bradley Beal finished second in the NBA in scoring, and this was his second straight season averaging over 30 points per game. Straight up, this dude gets buckets. Beal can get his shot from anywhere. He gives 110% every night, and he has been wasting away on a terrible Washington Wizards team. Beal proved again in 2020-2021 that he's one of the best scorers in the league. He averaged nearly 34 points per game in January, including a career-high 60 points against the Sixers on January 6th. Bradley Beal's scoring dropped off a little bit in February due to him taking a little bit less shots, but following the All-Star game, he went on a streak of 10 straight games with 29 or more points. Bradley Beal then got a hamstring injury and missed 3 games before coming back for the final game of the season, when he helped the Wizards clinch a playoff spot. Bradley Beal continued to show his impressive scoring streak in the playoffs, averaging 30 points per game. He unquestionably struggled against Ben Simmons, where he went ice cold from 3-point range, shooting just 22% on 7 of 32 from 3-point range. Bradley Beal narrowly missed winning the scoring title this year, but he still finished with an outstanding 31.3 points per game. Speaking as a Sixers fan, I thought the Sixers did a tremendous job defensively on this guy, and there were so many times when Bradley Beal got his shot, the Sixers played great defense and it didn't matter. Beal, when on fire, can lead his team offensively, and this is exactly what you want to put alongside Joel Embiid moving forward. Let's go to my number 1, which is easily Damian Lillard. Let's look at the stats. 45.4% in the catch and shoot, ridiculous, on 2.3 attempts per game, 67.4% effective field goal percentage in the catch and shoot, 36.6% of his points came from drives to the basket, 51.8% field goal percentage on those drives, shot 41.9% on pull-ups, 1.09 points per possession in ISO opportunities, good for 88th percentile. That is one of the best in the league. 1.07 points per possession as a ball handler in the pick and roll, good for 90th percentile. So in terms of getting buckets, this guy can do it in ISO situations. This guy can do it in the pick and roll. The fit is beyond clear with Damian Lillard, who, not unlike Bradley Beal, should be the ultimate prize this offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers. The Portland Trailblazers, as a franchise, are in an interesting position. They've continuously tried to run things back around the same core group of players, and quite simply, it hasn't worked out. All eyes should be on Damian Lillard, who is fantastic and would represent an immediate upgrade at the point guard position. He averaged 28.8 points per game and 7.5 assists per game this season and shot 39.1% from beyond the arc. Pairing Damian Lillard alongside Joel Embiid would create one of the best duos in the NBA, hands down. And the Sixers have the assets to make this work. No question the Sixers would have to add to this deal to get it done. Something along the lines of Ben Simmons, a prospect, a couple first-round picks, maybe some pick swaps would probably be enough to move the needle. What do you guys think of my top 5? Did I miss anybody? Please be sure to like and subscribe below. Thank you everybody for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay awesome.